Hi everyone, welcome to this new webinar hosted by the Join a School in France team. Before we get started, just let's do a quick check. Can you hear us properly and can you see us? If so, please let us know in the chat box that everything is okay. Nice. Thank you everyone for answering. Also, if you want to tell us where you are connecting from, it's always fun and great to know it. So, my name is Bastien. I'm working at Join a School in France, recruiting international students for the Masters in Management program. And today we're going to talk about the HEC Masters in Management program with Rita. She's not only an HEC Paris representative, but she's also a former international student who applied with us through Join a School in France a few years ago. So guys, this is just an amazing opportunity for you to get the best advice from her. And she will share a testimonial about her experience with us as a candidate at the very end of the webinar. Hi, Rita.
Hello, Bastien. Thank you for this opportunity. Nice to meet you, everyone. So as Bastien was saying, I'm a recruitment manager for HEC Paris, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
Thanks. I'm gonna pass the floor quickly to Rita. Just guys, I'm gonna talk about today's agenda, which is quite easy. First, Rita is going to give us an overview of HEC, the school, obviously the MIM program, the life on campus. Then, in the second part of the webinar, I will talk about the admission process through Join a School in France, how to apply, when, everything you need to know about the selection process, basically. And at the very end of the webinar, we will finish with a Q&A session. So please do not hesitate to ask your question in the chat box during the webinar. And we will answer them at the very end. Please note that my colleague Zheng is also connected. So she is connecting on the chat and she might answer some of your questions while Rita and I are speaking. Okay, I think we're good. So let's kick off. I pass the floor to Rita so that you'll learn more about the HEC Paris Masters in Management program.
Hello, everyone. So today's topic is our Master in Management, HEC Paris. Just as a quick introduction of HEC Paris, I don't know if you guys heard about the school before, but we're a French business school. We are the first French business school, and we offer several programs. So we have several, programs, including the MBA, PhD programs, executive educations. But today's focus is for the pre-experience programs, which means all the programs that are addressed to students in between 0 and 3 years of working experience, including the Master in Management. So I won't take a long time for this slide. These are just a few numbers about our school. So we're the first business school in Europe. We have the first Master of Science in International Finance and also the second Master in Management worldwide. Our campus is quite international. The main language is English, and we have over 130 nationalities and 150 nationalities, on campus, which represents 64% of our effectives. Just a quick word about our teaching philosophy. So this is how it works at HEC. You have small classes of less than 50 students, which facilitates the interaction between students and the professor, but also discussions among students. All classes will be taught by main professors, so you won't have teaching assistants. So 50% of them are from research faculty, but you also have practitioners, which means you'll have some corporates coming to you and teaching you some specific area. For instance, let's say the strategy consulting class, and you'll have a consultant from the Boston Consulting Group coming to you and teaching you this specific area, which brings a very practical, point of view of the teaching methods, and also brings you an understanding of how the job on a day-to-day basis works. works. I remember at my time, for example, I had a corporate finance class, and my professor was a managing director at Crédit Agricole in Paris. Besides, we have several company projects. We'll have companies coming on campus and then solving with you case studies, and it's always a good way, to network with them and to understand how the job works as well. So I'd say HEC is a perfect gap between the academic and professional world, and of course you'll get to attend several networking events and also career fairs. So the main one is the Carrefour HEC, taking place in October, but you also have a more specific career fairs. So for example, you have the career fair in finance with a lot of banks coming, including Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, but also the strategy consulting fair with all the consulting firms, and more specific fairs such as the health career fair, digital career fair, and many, many others. So the Master in Management is the equivalent of what we call the Programme Grande École. It's a 2-year program. You'll have a first year, which is a generalistic year, and then an optional gap year to do internships in between, and then a specialization year on your second year of master. I'll get to detail more this later. This is just an overview of our dual degree program, because on your second year within the Master in Management, you can either choose a specialization on campus or go on a double degree to one of our partner institutions. So we have several other double degrees and possibilities. So as you can see, you can go to Yale, but we also offer double degrees with European institutions such as the University of St. Gallen and several others. So our class profiles are quite diverse. So if you have a non-business background, you are more welcome to apply, because we really value diversity. So diversity in terms of nationalities, but also of profiles and backgrounds. So we welcome every year engineers, students, of course, with a business background, but also from other backgrounds such as economics, social science, and many, many others. So I'd like to explain the program structure maybe a bit more. As I was saying before, you have a first year, which is a generalistic phase with several classes such as company law, financial markets, corporate finance, marketing. So they are very diverse, but also they're there to, help you build strong foundations for your specializations on your second year. And then you get to specialize either in strategy or finance or marketing or arts. We have several possibilities at HEC. And in between the 2 years, you'll have an optional gap year. This year is optional, but most of our students decide to do it. Why? Because sometimes students do not really know which specialization to take. They still hesitate and want to test, different areas before getting to choose their specialization. It also helped them to bring, a stronger resume before applying to full-time jobs during their second year of application of their master. And finally, they can just compare between 2 different tracks, and a lot of them come back from this gap year with a full-time job offer. So they do not need to worry later on with the application processes, which can be quite heavy with all the interviews, etc. So I was talking before about the specialization phase. So you can either specialize in strategic management, in international finance, marketing, managerial and financial economics, and many others, or you can go on a double degree with one of our partner institutions. This is just an overview, but we have several other institutions, and you can do a double degree in France or internationally. So you'll have several opportunities once you're a student at HEC. I think this is all. Now I'm going to talk about career paths. So they're quite diverse, because within the Master in Management, students do choose several specializations. So you can either work as a consultant. So you can see it's 35% of our students. A lot of students go to financial services, technology, government. So it's very diverse. And we think it's a very strong asset of HEC Paris because we have a very strong community and working in several sectors and everywhere all over the world. I won't pay a huge attention to the salary because, as you may know, it always depends about the industry you're working on, but also the geographic area. And finally, I'd like to present our certificates before moving to campus life. So within the Master in Management, you have an optional certificate to do. Basically, it's around 100 hours of class, which will grant you 15 extra credits. These are very interesting because another time it brings a very practical point of view to our teaching methods. So you'll have full-time professors from HEC, but you'll also have corporates coming to you and teaching you or solving with you real-life cases related to the topic of your certificate. So they're either come on campus, or then you can go either to the offices to work within the certificates. So it's another extra opportunity to build your resume and to gain extra expertise that you can sell better while looking for a full-time job offer. And of course, it brings you, informal networking if you're looking for an opportunity within the company. You can apply to the certificate that you want, regardless your specialization, but you need to show some motivation. So these are all taking place in May after the end of your classes, and you can only choose one because they all take place at the same time. And now we move to campus and student life. So here is a picture of, the main interest of our campus. And this is a picture of our graduation, and then the library on the left, and then housing, a picture of our main housing buildings. So we offer several activities on campus. So if you have some interest in anything, in sports, or, if you have a specific passion, you will for sure find something related. So we have a sport club, a rugby club, a sailing club. We have students horsing, many things to do on campus. Talking about societies, you can either be part of musical societies or cultural societies. We're doing so many things, and I'd say that student life is quite active. And of course, we offer accommodation, which is guaranteed for international students on campus, and all the required services such as restaurants and sports facilities on campus. Now, what we're looking for within our students' appliance is a competitive GMAT or GRE score. You can also take the TAJMAJ, talking about HEC Paris, which is the French equivalent. We also value cross-cultural sensitivity, of course, academic excellence, so your grades are very important. If you have, a very strong GMAT with maybe lower grades, then it may offset, your grades. And the opposite as well. The internships and extracurricular activities are important, and also your motivation. So anything that you've done besides academics is important, such as voluntary and, student societies. All your involvement, all your sports are important, and also your international exposure. So if you've done an internship internationally, or if you've been, to an exchange, or if you're speaking several languages, please mention that on your application, because these are very important.
Rita, sorry to interrupt. Could you please already answer the question, since you're talking about the GMAT and the GRE exam, because we had like 6 questions about it already, and students are so worried about that. Do you have a minimum score for the GMAT and the GRE?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't take a look to the question.
No,
so
makes sense.
So we do not have a minimum scores, but I can communicate with you, the average scores of admitted students every year. So at least you have, how can I say, an objective to target. So for the GMAT every year, the average is 710. For the GRE is 320, and for the TAJMAJ is 420. Just for you to know. And it doesn't mean, if you have lower averages or lower scores, it doesn't mean that you have zero chance to make it. Because as I was saying before, if you have excellence grades, then it will offset your management test scores. And the opposite as well. And then for the English tests, for the TOEFL, it's more than 100 on average. and for the TOEIC is more than 850 every year, and 7.5 for IELTS and C1 level for Cambridge. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, it does. Just another student who's asking about the CAT score. So I don't know, like guys, this is a question we will answer during my presentation, but just so you know, the CAT, we do accept it, but this is not really the test we would like you to take. It's really better for you guys to take the GRE or the GMAT exams. So I don't even know if, Rita, you know about the minimum score, like about the CAT. No, yeah. So that's why, guys, our advice is to give up with the CATs and go for the GRE and GMAT.
And the Tajmash is always fine for French speakers as well.
Exactly.
We don't make any difference between these three, so just pick the one you're more comfortable with. I mean, on our side, on HEC Paris side, we don't make any difference between these tests.
Yeah. Thanks, Rita. Sorry to interrupt your
You're
presentation.
welcome. So these are like the assets that we value. And then I'll just have a quick word about HEC Paris scholarships. So our foundation offers two different scholarships, which are the HEC Excellence Scholarship, but also the Women High Potential Scholarship. So you don't need to apply to these two scholarships, and all international students with a non-French diploma will be considered as long as you're accepted. So let's say you're admitted to HEC, then you'll be contacted a few weeks after your admissions telling you, okay, you've obtained this scholarship and here is the amount. There's nothing to do on your side, and of course if you're not contacted, it means that you didn't obtain any scholarship. So for the HEC Excellence Scholarship, it's around in between 3,000 and 12K. And for the Women High Potential is more than 15,000, is up to 15,000 euros, sorry. And then I will just maybe give you the floor, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions at the end of this presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Rita, for all the information provided. So guys, we saw our questions, and I'm gonna answer some of your questions in my presentation. And then, as I said at the very beginning of the webinar, I'm gonna go back to the question, to the unanswered question in the chat box. So no worries, and keep asking your question, but no need to write it 3 or 4 times. What about applying through Join a School in France to the HEC MIM programs? So first of all, you need to know that we recruit international students for 5 business schools. So the schools you can see on the screen: HEC, ESCP, EM Lyon, Schema, and Audencia. So these schools are 5 very prestigious business schools. All of them are ranked in the Financial Times among the 31st business school. Allow me please to draw your attention to one fact, that we only recruit students for the Masters in Management. So it's not for the MBA, not for the Masters of Science in Engineering or whatever. It's really only about the MIM program. Besides, we often ask if there's any difference between applying through Join a School in France or applying directly to the schools. And I saw that the question is on the chat box as well. So basically, there's no difference in terms of evaluating the application. This is exactly the same. So in any case, if you're applying through HEC or Join a School in France, HEC will evaluate your application. So in terms of evaluation, no difference. The main difference, let's say, is that with Join a School in France, you maximize your chances of being accepted by at least one school, because you apply only once to 5 business schools. So you save time and money. That's it. Who can apply now? As I said before, you must be an international student, which means you must be studying a non-French bachelor. Then you're eligible as long as you're in your final year of bachelor's, or even if you have a master's degree. as Rita said before, your academic background doesn't matter. So it's open to everyone, science students, business students, art students. Now, if we check on how to apply with us, it's quite easy again. It's all online. All the admission process is online, except for in the interview, but we'll get to that soon. You just need to fill up the form on our website. You give some personal information about you, your name, your nationality, where you studied, well, the classic information about a student application. And then that's it. So also, obviously, you need to provide some documents which are required. So you've got the list on the screen. So the ID, I must say, the ID document, like the identity document, must be in French. So if you're from a French-speaking country, it's okay. If you're not, please upload your passport. So if you're Chinese, don't upload your Chinese ID. We want the passport. Then you need either the diploma, if you're already graduated, or the certificate of attendance, if you have not graduated yet. We need all the transcript of records. We need both written and English tests. So as we said before, GMAT, GRE, I'm going to talk about that just after this slide. 2 letters of recommendation, and you need to pay the application fee, which is 200 euro. So you need to upload the invoice on your application. So about the tests. My so these are the tests you can take. So the GRE, the GMAT, or the TAJMAJ. Again, you're allowed to take the CATs, but really this is not being your favor to take it. It's better to take the GMAT or the GRE. My advice would be for you to take this test very soon, because it takes time to go through this journey, to study the GMAT or to study the TAJMAJ or the GRE. So first of all, in your application, please take your test, because we all know that it's not a piece of cake to take these tests. Then about the English tests. So we accept these 4 English tests: the TOEFL, the TOEIC, the IELTS, and the Cambridge. And you don't need to take any of these tests if you're a native English speaker, or for people who already have done the studies in English. And I mean the 3 or 4 years studied fully in English. It's not working if you studied half in English and half in your language. It has to be the whole bachelor degree in English. And then you don't need to take the tests. About the letters of recommendation, there's not much to say about that, except that you have to provide 2 letters of recommendation. We do not have any preference about academic letters or professional letters. It can be both, like whatever guys you want. Just keep in mind that the letters must have your referee's contact, which means the email, the details of the position if it's a manager, or the professor, say that it's a professor of a uni. And it should obviously mention your name, and if it's possible, the letterhead and a stamp. That's it. Also a question we get a lot. If a professor doesn't want to give you the letter of recommendation, they can email it to us at our email address I will give you at the very end of the presentation. Then let's talk about the essays question. Again, it's very easy because you don't have to write any cover letter to submit your application. You only have to answer these 4 questions. There is no secret. They are on the website, so that's why they are here on the webinar as well. You have to answer these 4 questions. Describe your proudest accomplishments. Then describe a situation where you faced failure, what you learned. How does your application benefit the schools? And did you take part in any extracurricular activities this past year? Quite easy, but these questions are very important because they can boost your chances of being selected for the interview. And also, they will be used by the jury members during the interview to ask you questions and get a more complete picture of you as a candidate. So it really gives you the possibility to share stories from your lives, to reveal something about your character or your personal values. Well, it's really a good way to get to know you better. The interview. So the interview. I want to insist, first of all, on this point. It's only one interview, even though you have been selected by several schools. So this is one of the biggest advantage of joining a school in France. The interview your interview will take place in the city you chose in your application. They are mainly face-to-face, except obviously during these turbulent times because of COVID. So it can be exceptionally on Skype or Zoom, but we will let you know. Let's be clear now, you don't decide if it's online or not. For most of the students, it's face-to-face, but sometimes we do not have no choice but organizing it online. You need to know that the interview lasts about 30 minutes. It's conducted in English. The jury is made up of 2 or 3 people. Most of the time, they are alumni from one of the 5 schools, or it can be also people working for the French government, so people from Campus France. Some of you might have heard about them. What kind of question should you expect? Well, the interview is similar to a typical job interview, so there's no the interview don't follow this. All the interview don't follow the same templates. Questions may depend on your profile, on what you did, where you studied, your nationality. Well, it's like a typical job interview. We alumni will just try to get to you. They try to get to know you better, and just to talk about your experiences on your CV. Very classic question like, what made you choose the Masters in Management program? How can this program help you to achieve your career goals? How do you handle a stressful situation? Well, the classic question. You need to know that we are very keen on recruiting students who are generally well informed. About general knowledge. It's very important, and some questions may concern recent business or economic news in your country, but also in another country. So one advice would be really to read the newspaper and to be very informed about the news. Also, during the interview, we will assess your soft skills as well. So the soft skills, it's very easy. It's a big word for nothing, but it's just like, for instance, your communication ability, the way you present, all the, let's say, maybe less, it's all the, I don't know. Yeah, the example I gave you, communication ability, the way you present. So really, really prepare for your interview. Come dress as for a job interview. It's very important. You need to show the best of yourself in the interview. Rita agreed because she took the interview. She will share her experience about her interview and the whole process with joining school in France. So this is basically a quick summary about what I said. So you've got the 4 steps. So first you apply online, then we send your application to the school. They decide if you're eligible for an interview. So you can be accepted to 5 schools, 3 schools, 4 schools, 1 school to take the interview. Then you take your interview, and then you get the admission results. Let's see the admission calendar now, because I saw some question about that in the chat box. So yes, you cannot apply for the first one now. It's closed. The applications are closed, and the schools are already evaluating the application from round 1. You can guys apply for 1, 2. There's really no difference. You don't have less chance of being accepted because you're gonna apply to round 2. No worries about that, guys. You can also apply to round 3. You won't have less chance, okay? So the next deadline is on January 6th. My advice again would be for you to apply everything before Christmas, also because on Christmas we are on holidays here, so it's closed. And then when we come back, we won't have that much time to give you some advice and a lot of questions from a lot of students. So get ready, the sooner the better. Obviously, you can apply once per year in round 1 only. And a question that I saw in the chat box also. No, I already answered that. Yeah, I don't know if I said it or I talked about that with Rita before, but you cannot apply through Join a School in France and to HEC directly. You have to pick one of the 2 admission process. Okay, if you apply to both, we're just gonna take into consideration the first application. So no need to try to cheat on us. We're in contact, HEC and us and the schools, and we will see quite easily if you apply to both admission process. That's it. So then these are our social media, guys. You can follow us and get information about the admission process. We are used to remembering the closing application date and this kind of stuff. You can contact us if you have any question on this number on WhatsApp and on the email address. You can also see the whole Join a School in France team with Veng just here, who is answering some of your questions in the chat box. And before we get into the Q&A session, I'm gonna just pass the floor one more time to Rita so she can share her testimonial about her experience with Join a School in France, what she liked about it, and how she got admitted to HEC through us. Well, everything she wants to share.
Yes, sure. So I was quite happy and satisfied with my whole experience with Join a School in France because it was very smooth and practical, and it worked. It allowed me to access to HEC Paris to be accepted. So I thought it was an amazing opportunity. So at this time, I was like a student at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Switzerland, and I wasn't really aware of, study opportunities for international bachelor students in France. And I thought, the application process was very smooth, but also it allowed me, to mutualize all my energy in order to get a French business school. To be honest, at the beginning, I wasn't targeting HEC Paris specifically, but at the end, it worked. So what happened is that I first started preparing for my GMAT, for my TAJMAT, sorry. I decided to take the French version. I started preparing for it, and then at the same time, I started looking for, open sessions internationally. I really recommend you to go to the websites of each of these tests and then check for the dates because they are closed and busy very quickly. So just take a bit of advance into registering at least to these tests before getting prepared, and also take into consideration your results, like the timeline between the time you take the test and you get your results, because you need to take into account as well their deadline according to our application deadlines. This is very important. So once I took my tâche mage and I submitted, I filled in all the essay questions, I uploaded all my recommendations, and I finished my application online. It took a bit of time, because I started the application and then I went back a few times to think about the structure I want to give to my essay questions. The structure, I think, is very important. So try to really think about how you process your answers to put all your chances on your side. I was invited for an interview, and I was only admissible for HEC, Schema, and Union Business School. So I knew I was only taking the interview only for these 3 schools. At this time, they were offering the opportunity to take, the interview in person or in distance, because I was, studying abroad. But I decided to come to Paris because I thought it was better, to get some personal interaction with my interviewers. So I went to Chambre de Commerce,
Where I am.
Exactly. And I had really a warm welcoming. You just arrive, you get to wait your turn. They offered me a coffee at this time, which make everything smoother and just made me relax. And then I entered the interview room. So I had 3 different persons. One was a representative of HEC Paris. She was a full-time professor at HEC. And then I had an alumni from HEC in the financial sector, and also an alumni of HEC Paris. And it was very smooth. I was very nervous at the beginning, but then they make anything, to make you comfortable, and it was more like a discussion. I was very happy with my interview. It was supposed to take, I think, 25 minutes, and it lasts much longer. So I really didn't see, the time passing. And finally, I received my admission results, and I got admitted to the 3 different schools. So
and here you are.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have any question. I don't know if it's kind of clear, but I think the process is amazing, and really it takes some energy to take the test, but then once you have your admissions results, it's super smooth and quick. So I strongly recommend to choose this track if you want a business school in France. If you're sure that you want HEC or Lyon, then you'd better apply directly. But if you want to mutualize all your energy, and if you want to be sure to get a school, or at least maximize your chances of getting a French business school, then maybe this process is the better for you.
Thanks, Rita, for this testimonial.
You're welcome.
We're gonna go now to the Q&A session. I can see that we've got a lot in the chat box, which is great. Thanks, Guy, for participating. So the very first question is a personal one from Jihei. Sorry, guys, if I don't say properly your name. So she skipped 1 year in her degree, and so she might have not done enough internship. So she's worried about not being accepted because she didn't do that much internship. What do you reckon?
Okay, so I don't know if I should take the question, Bastien, if it's fine for you.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So of course, if you have an internship, it's better to mention it. But our Master in Management, as I was saying before, is a pre-experience program for students in between 0 and 3 years of working experience. So if you haven't worked before, for sure you've done something besides your studies, student society, anything, feel free to mention it. But it's not an issue, of course, and you are still welcome to apply with 0 years of experience.
Thanks. We've got another question, but I think you answered that. Well, I'm sure you answered that in your presentation. What's the biggest difference between the MBA and the MIM courses?
Yeah, so MBA I'd say is more advanced. It's for people with 4 or 5 years of working experience, and then they enter HEC because they want to leverage their career. Some of them want to change the career part, and some of them, for example, they're engineers, but they want to move to more managerial positions within their company. So they decide to come to the MBA. Whereas the Master in Management is a bit more, for pre-experienced students. So mainly bachelor and master students, or people that are very, in the very beginning of their career. So you can also apply if you already have obtained your degree, but you're just in your first, second year of working experience, and you still want to go into study areas.
Thanks, Rita. Another question, but we both answered that in our presentation. Is there only one intake in September, or is there a January, February intake as well?
There's only one intake in September.
Yeah, exactly. Then we've got a question in French. Sorry for the non-French speakers, guys. So, Ragavan, j'ai 35 ans, j'ai 11 ans d'expérience dans les domaines comme supply chain management, vendeur management. Je voudrais savoir sur les courses que HEC offre en supply chain.
Okay. So if you already worked more than 3 years of experience, I think this is not a good webinar for you, because the Master in Management, as I was saying before, is for more, people with less than 3 years of experience. But we also offer executive education programs. So feel free to contact them directly if you're interested by joining the HEC for our executive programs. But I don't have any extra information, sorry.
Thanks, Rita. We're gonna give the same answer more or less to Sonali, because you're asking, do you have a management program for a person 50 years old? So with a work experience of 16 years. So please contact directly HEC, and they will give you some details about their other program, because we're only focusing on the MIM program here.
Yeah.
Then what can I do to augment my profile with non-academic elements to increase my chances of an admission to the Masters in Marketing program? Guys, again, we're not talking about the Masters in Marketing. Do you want to say something, maybe?
How to value your profile. So there are a lot of things you can do. So either it can be working experience, or it can be volunteering, as I was saying before, or being part of a student society, being curious and active, going to sports. And of course, academic excellence is highly valuable. So do your maximum to achieve good grades at school. But also, if you're, applying right now, make sure to maximize your management test scores to offset maybe lower grades. So I think that's all I can say. For students, for example, with an international nationality, non-French students, feel free to mention it on your CV, the resume, for example, because it may show your international exposure if you're speaking several languages as well. So yeah, I'd say focus on these points, and also on the structure of your application. So when you're answering your essay questions, take the time to think, I need to be structured. It's more about the quality than the quantity of the things that you transmit.
Thanks, Rita. The next question, well, I'm not really sure what it is about. Does the HEC MIM give the possibility to get a CFA certificate? I've got no idea what is a CFA certificate.
I think I'm aware of it. So it's like a certificate dedicated to people working in the financial sector, or that want to work in the financial sector. So within the Master in Management, you can specialize in international finance on your second year. Okay. But we do not offer a dedicated preparation for this certificate. But of course, as all your specialization year would be like full of finance classes, then maybe also, a good preparation as well for the CFA, but then you'll have to take it by your own, of course.
Thanks, Rita. So I'm keep reading some questions. Sorry, guys, I skipped some questions because I answered them in my presentation about the English proficiency waiver and all that stuff. I already answered this question. When is the best time as deadline to take the GMAT so that the results are on time? Guys, it's a good question, but it's your job to be organized. So my advice would be at least to take at the latest moment to take the GMAT or the GRE exam or the TAJMAJ exam 1 month before the application closing date.
Yeah.
Then it can be too late.
Yeah, I totally agree, because it may be a bit stressful, if you're taking if it's too tight and then you're receiving your results 2 days before the closure of application. So just make sure, we don't need any extra stress within the application process. So check for the dates today or as soon as you can on the website of each management test that you want to take.
Yeah, thanks.
And also, I mean, if you take it in advance and you're not satisfied with your scores, it's also a good opportunity, to get the time to retake the tests. I know that for TAJMAJ, for example, you can take it up to 2 times a year. And statistically, I mean, when you take the test a second time, it allows you to, prepare more, but also get used to the format and then, score better on average.
Exactly, thanks. Chengju, I applied through Join a School in France for the first round, and you would like to know whether you can mention what schools and programs are your preference during the interview. Yes, you can talk about that during the interview. I mean, you can feel free, guys, also to ask to the interviewer which school is from. So you can ask that and have more personal chats about the school and that stuff. So you can share during the interview the school you prefer, and you might be asked this question actually.
I had the question personally.
Yeah. If you study in English, you should apply stating you. Guys, I answered this question. Since only one panel interview is held for Join a School in France application, how can someone stand out specifically to HEC recruiter?
So I was communicating before, I mean, our admission criteria, the things we're taking into account. But of course, I mean, if you arrive into the interview and you specifically know that you want HEC, feel free to mention it. And also we'd like to know, I mean, we really like to see that the candidates know about HEC and project themselves in the school. So, I mean, go to our website, read anything you can read. Feel free to contact current students and ask them any questions. I don't know if I can type on the chat.
Yes, you can.
So we have a platform called Unibody where you have Master in Management students, but also students from other programs. So you'll have their program and also their nationality. So target Master in Management students and ask them any questions that you have. These are ambassadors. Some of them might have gone through the Join a School in France process. They'll be more than happy to help you with their personal experience.
Yeah, good idea. If you apply to Join a School in France, guys, you don't need to attend interview at HEC campus or any of the school. The interview, I repeat, will be in the city you chose in your application. So mainly for most of you guys, and for some of you, it might be online again. Then applicant. I'm an international applicant applying through SAI. So this is our old name, guys, SAI. For the first round, 2 weeks ago, I retook a GMAT test to get a higher score. I have attached my official score report. Am I wondering if HEC could check the email to add it on my profile? So for that kind of question, please ask directly to HEC because it could be unfair for other people that upload a GMAT score report. So I cannot tell you if HEC will accept to check your GMAT score again. I don't know, Rita.
So what was the point about the student applying through the first round, right?
Yeah, she applied, she or he. Sorry, guys, I don't know. I think it's she. She applied for the first round, and she first uploaded a first GMAT score report, and she retook a GMAT, but she couldn't upload it because the application was closed. So she would like to know if she can give this new GMAT score report to the HEC team?
I mean, it depends when she got her results. If it's 1 week after the closure of applications, we may consider the new scores. But then, if it's much longer, maybe it's better to how can I say? Send us an email. I will type my email, and then maybe we can see if we can transfer your application to the second round, or just discuss your specific case.
Yeah, thanks, Rita.
You're welcome.
Applying the training school, when should we apply to a specific scholarship? If we're applying through join a school in France, when should we apply to specific scholarship like the Garzouzi scholarship? I've never heard of this scholarship for Lebanese students.
Yeah, it's my colleague who is taking charge of this scholarship. So I know that for the excellence scholarship, you're being considered once you're admitted.
Yeah.
For Garzouzi, I cannot tell you. I think you will need to send an email as well to this email address so she can take into account your requests. I don't have the deadlines. I'm sorry.
No worries. That's fine. But I think, like as you said, for most of the scholarship, you must be admitted first in a school. For most of them, I think, no?
So yes, indeed. For example, for the FL scholarship, I know that you need to be admitted through the first round applications. And also, we have several other scholarships, indeed, that you can apply through after being accepted, to HEC.
Oh, okay.
Including the Garzouzi scholarship, indeed, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And also feel free to contact your local Campus France offices to see, if there is any scholarship you may be eligible to study in France with.
Exactly. Ricardo, yes, you can apply through Join a School in France, even though you graduated last year and you're currently taking a gap year. There's no problem about that. Shruti, no, you cannot upload both GMAT and GRE score. You have to just pick one of them. And how about the payment proof? As I said, the payment proof is the invoice about the application fee. You just need to upload the invoice with your name and the proof that it said that you paid. What happens if the professor's email ID and number has changed since he has changed the university recently? Guy, this is a very specific question. This would be bad luck, but this is not a big deal. We can always manage to find a professor if we need to contact a professor. So no worries at all about these small details. Focus on some other stuff in your application rather than on this kind of points. Same. If we have studied at last 3 years in a course taught fully in English, will a letter from the university stating the same suffice or some additional documents proof are required? It's okay if you study fully in English, just a proof that say that English is the medium of instruction is enough. I have low CGPA. This is a very specific. Can I get admission in Master in Management Innovation? I don't know. This is a question for you, Rita. I have low CGPA in Bachelor. Can I get admission in Masters in Management and Innovation, HEC TUM course?
So this is a double degree with the TUM University in Germany, and you'll have to apply directly to this program through HEC Paris platform. To join a school in France, it's just a Master in Management program. If you want to do a double degree, you can apply to the Master in Management through Join a School in France, and then you enter HEC, and then with your first year of Master, you apply to a double degree for your second year. But if you are sure that you want a double degree in advance, then you'd better apply through HEC Paris platform directly.
Thanks. Guys, again, it's not a big deal if your professor doesn't have a university email address. He can put his personal one, although it's strange, but that'd be fine. As long as we can contact your professor if needed, this is the most important point. Is there a specific code of join a school in France in the GMAT test? This is a good question. It's true that I forgot to mention that. So for the GMAT test, there is no code. You only have to select join a school in France when you sign up for the exam. So you select join a school in France, and we will get the results. But you also have to upload the GMAT score report. For the GRE, we don't have any code. So please, guys, upload the score reports, and we can check them apart on our extranet. We can check your results if needed. Can we upload both? Non, j'ai répondu. I think we answered most of the question. How many students get admitted into the program? I think there's no specific number about that. Rita, what do you?
I mean, I can give you the average of admitted students to our masters, but through Join a School in France, I don't know. But we accept 1 out of 7 applicants to HEC.
Okay. Is there a word limit for the essay question? Yes, you can find that on our website. Then that's it. Then, guys, if you have more very specific and personal question regarding your case or your application, please either email us at the Join a School in France address, or as Rita wrote in the chat box, at the Admission Masters email address.
Just maybe a little detail, if you have any question about HEC, or use our email, but if it's concerned in the application process to join a school in France, then stick to join a school in France, because we're not in charge of taking into account all the recruitment process. If you need to decide, which application you're going to do, through Join a School in France or through HEC, and then contact the appropriate person accordingly.
Okay. What I meant with respect to the GMAT Join a School in France code was just if we'll send the GMAT score to college, right? Yes, we send your GMAT scores to the schools. Obviously, they check your GMAT score, your TAJMAT scores, or GRE scores. You don't need to put individually all the codes of the college. No worries about that. And Claire, I don't know why you're talking about an LV2 exam or whatever, because I never ever mentioned that in the selection process. So the selection process, again, it's easy. You apply online, then you are invited to take an interview, and then you've got the interview. That's the only thing. There's no written exam or language exam or whatever. I hope I'm clear with that. Guys, this is your very last chance to ask a last question, and then we're gonna finish the webinar. I can see that someone's typing. This is going to be the last question we are going to take, guys. If you type it quickly.
Okay, do automotive companies recruit graduates? It's really, of course, we have alumni working in the automotive industry, but it's up to you to define your career path. So, within the Carrefour HEC, we have several companies coming from the automotive sector. We have students working for Michelin groups and, for Renault, but in several sectors. They can work in finance, in marketing, in supply chain. It's really up to you to define your career, but yes, if you'd like to work in the automotive sector, you can. And we also have a club at HEC dedicated to the automotive sector. So if you're a student interested in, this sector, you can take part of the club.
questions.
Minimum level requirement. I will take an extra question maybe before ending for French language for an international students who is coming to France from higher studies. So there is no minimum. We have students coming with, zero French knowledge. But if you do not speak French, you will have to take mandatory French classes once you start your program at HEC Paris.
And Erdan, just quickly to answer your question, both the profile and the interview are very important in your application. Like, there's no percentage in the way we evaluate your application. So the answer is there's no percentage. Sorry, so you have to have a strong application and to be good at the interview. Work on that. Guys, so this is gonna be my does HEC provide free French classes besides academic classes?
Yes, we have a language center, and you can take several classes, German, Spanish. But if you're not speaking French, you will have to take French classes, and these are free.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Rita, for being here, for sharing all this information with the students, with us. Thank you guys for being with us, for participating and asking all your questions. If you still have some doubts, please contact us on the email address we gave you or directly on the WhatsApp number for the Join the School in France question.
Thank
Guys,
you.
bye. Have a nice day.
Goodbye.
And we hope to see you for our next webinar. Bye.
Looking forward. Goodbye.